The story begins with a woman walking through a thick forest, heading somewhere. As she moves forward, she suddenly hears strange voices calling out to her. The scene then changes to a city in Taiwan, where we see posters of the same woman who has now gone missing from that forest. Another woman comes near the posters, looks at them closely, and quietly says, "Come back soon." After this, she returns home and starts preparing breakfast for her grandson, whose name is Heen. She then goes to his room to wake him up, but he doesn't get up, so she leaves. A little later, Heen wakes up on his own and asks his grandmother why she didn't wake him, since he was already late for work. In a hurry, he quickly gets ready and barely eats his breakfast before leaving. He is rushing so much that he even forgets to take his lunchbox with him. After Heen leaves, his grandmother is alone in the house. She suddenly hears the same strange voices calling out to her. When the grandmother checks around the house, she doesn't see anything unusual, but suddenly she slips and falls. On the floor, she notices a large amount of blood. Right then, someone comes from behind and touches her, and her eyes suddenly turn black. The story then shifts to Heen's best friend, Eugene, who is a music artist. Meanwhile, Heen works as a property agent. One day, while Heen is showing a family around a house, he hears a strange voice. When he follows the sound, he finds his lunchbox lying there, even though he thought he had left it at home. He assumes his grandmother must have placed it there, but the situation feels strange. He immediately tries calling his grandmother, but she doesn't answer. Later that night, Heen and Eugene meet up. Heen takes her to see his new house. There, Heen proposes to Eugene, but she tells him she doesn't want to marry him. Heen explains that he planned to sell his grandmother's house to buy this new one for their wedding, but Eugene says if his grandmother finds out, she will be very upset. Heen replies that he doesn't care. He just wants to marry Eugene. When they both go to his grandmother's house, she isn't there. Just then, Heen sees his grandmother about to go out. But here, we notice that only Heen can see her. Eugene sees no one. The next day, a security guard in the same area spots the missing woman, the same lady who had disappeared in the forest at the beginning. She has suddenly returned. When Heen hears about this, he approaches the woman and asks if she has seen his grandmother anywhere. As soon as she hears this, she reacts strangely and begins apologizing to Heen, leaving him confused. Not long after, a parcel arrives at Heen's office. Inside is the missing woman's camera. On the camera, there's a video from the time when his grandmother went hiking with her friends. In the video, Heen notices a strange little girl in a red dress following the group. She looks odd and clearly doesn't belong to them. Suddenly, everyone in the office starts smelling something unusual. Later that night, Heen meets the guard again and shows him the camera. The guard immediately recognizes it as the missing woman's camera. Both of them head to her house. When they arrive, the place is empty and very dark. Suddenly, Heen spots the same little girl from the video, hiding in a corner. But the moment he looks again, she disappears. Just then, all the doors and windows in the house slam shut on their own. Both Heen and the guard get scared when the doors and windows shut. They feel a strange presence nearby. Suddenly, the doors swing open again and both of them panic and run outside. Once outside, Heen vomits from the shock. Later, Heen and Eugene sit with the guard to review the CCTV footage. In the video, they see the same little girl in the red dress leading Heen's grandmother somewhere. They also watch the recording of what happened to them the previous night. In that footage, they notice that when they came out of the house, the girl in the red dress had followed them outside as well. After seeing this, Heen begins to think that the ghost troubling him is the same girl. The next morning, Heen feels like his grandmother is trying to wake him, but nothing happens. When he goes outside, he remembers how much she used to care for him when he was younger. This memory makes him miss her deeply. A little later, he hears a voice coming from his room. When he checks, he sees blood spilled on the floor. Then he suddenly sees the girl named Mojium appear in front of him. His face starts to change, and his eyes snap open. It was only a dream. After waking from the dream, Heen goes outside and sees his grandmother again. He hugs her tightly and cries a lot. Later, he meets Eugene, but his behavior is strange. Concerned, Eugene takes him to the hospital. At the hospital, Heen looks toward the children's ward and suddenly asks Eugene why she doesn't want to marry him. Eugene tells him this isn't the right time to discuss it. She asks him to stay quiet because the children are crying. But when Eugene looks toward the ward, she is shocked. There are no children inside, so where were the crying sounds coming from? This leaves her unsettled. Afterward, they both go to Heen's grandmother's house. There, Eugene sees the ghost of Mojium, which quickly disappears. Soon after, Eugene witnesses something disturbing. Heen eating live bugs, mistaking them for food made by his grandmother. Frightened, Eugene rushes to the guard and tells him what she saw. When they return to the house together, neither Heen nor the bugs are there anymore. In the next scene, the police find Heen's grandmother on a highway, but she is in very poor condition. Meanwhile, at the house, a ritual is being performed to drive the spirit away. Eugene later goes to Heen's office but learns that he isn't there. Around the same time, the guard receives a call saying that Heen's grandmother has been found. When Eugene hears this, she quickly rushes to see her, but when she arrives, she notices that the grandmother is behaving strangely and even apologizes to her. Eugene then begins searching for information about the vomiting spirit. She discovers that the girl, Mojium, is a local legend known for controlling people's minds and playing with them. This spirit uses rituals to exploit people's weaknesses. Eugene also watches interviews where people talk about Mojium and checks reports of missing persons around those mountains. In the next scene, we see the guard in his room. He starts hearing noises near the museum. When he turns on the light and looks outside, he spots a strange creature. It moves like a monkey, jumping and climbing trees. The guard gets frightened, and just as he's about to light a firecracker, something unexpected happens. Right at that moment, Mojium appears and suddenly attacks. Meanwhile, Eugene learns that Heen's grandmother has started vomiting again. While searching online, she comes across information about a strange insect. Eventually, she finds its name. It is called hot dog. The insect even has Mojium's face on it, which makes it clear that this is one of Mojium's powers. That night, while Eugene is asleep, her camera and laptop switch on by themselves. A noise wakes her, and she notices her body bleeding on its own. The bleeding becomes so severe that her bed is soaked with blood. Terrified, she then sees Mojium appear in front of her. Mojium sits near her, frightens her, and then vanishes. Moments later, Mojium is seen leaning against a wall. Shortly after, Eugene suddenly wakes up, realizing it was a nightmare. She then brings her grandmother home from the hospital. The grandmother tells her that if Heen returns, she should inform him that she has already transferred the house to his name. She hands Eugene a box containing Eugene's childhood shoes. The grandmother explains that in exchange for these shoes, Mojium allowed her to meet Heen. After that, Eugene goes to the guard and asks him to keep an eye on her grandmother. But soon she notices that the guard himself is acting strangely. Later that evening, while Eugene is in her office, she receives a phone call. On the call, someone mentions the names of 2 places, which she quickly writes down. At the same time, she also gets a call from the police, informing her that Heen's grandmother has gone missing again. Hearing this, Eugene immediately goes to the police and tells them she knows where her grandmother might have gone. She gives them the address of the forests and mountains. Eugene then sets out with a full rescue team. When she reaches her grandmother's house, she finds a picture of herself with Heen. On the back of the photo, there's a note saying that Heen will marry her in the coming years. Reading this, Eugene starts crying and feels regret for not marrying Heen earlier. In the next scene, she enters the forest with the police search team, where they find her grandmother. At the same time, the police continue their efforts to locate Heen. One night, a police officer tells Eugene that the mountain's legend is very powerful. Many people have gone missing here, and every tree is believed to hold countless spirits. Anyone who tries to cut the trees ends up dead. The officer then asks Eugene how she knew her grandmother would be in this area. Eugene explains that someone had called her and given her this information. The next day, the team resumes their search for Heen. This time, the situation feels different. While moving through the forest, Eugene becomes separated from the group. At that moment, she sees the same insect again, but now it has grown to an enormous size. Frightened, she quickly lights a flare, which makes the insect retreat. As she looks around, she notices dead bodies stuck in the trees, as if their souls were trapped inside them. Suddenly, Eugene's stomach swells, and she gives birth to a large baby. The baby calls her mom and asks if she will accept him. Overcome with emotion, Eugene hugs the baby and apologizes. Here, Eugene feels guilty, thinking that if she had married Heen earlier, they might have had children by now. Mojium takes advantage of this guilt to manipulate her. But just then, Eugene wakes up, realizing it was another vision. When Eugene wakes up, she realizes she is in the middle of real events, not just dreams. As she moves forward, she sees Heen, and for a moment, they appear happy together, living a normal life. Eugene then asks about his grandmother. Heen replies that he left her in a seine. This surprises Eugene, as she can't believe he would abandon his grandmother after loving her so much. She begins to understand that Mojium is behind everything happening. Eugene tries to leave, but Heen won't let her go. Suddenly, his face changes. In panic, she lights a flare, and immediately the illusion disappears. Heen was never really there. As she looks around, Eugene starts seeing strange creatures moving among the trees. She even spots Heen, who is trapped and entangled inside one of the trees. Eugene herself gets caught, but someone nearby tries to help her. At that moment, Mojium attacks, pushes her down, and sits on top of Heen. Mojium quickly grows larger, grabs Eugene, and reminds her of her guilt, trying to control her mind. But Eugene manages to light a flare and throws it into Mojium's eye. The spirit screams in anger. At that moment, the police launch several flares into the sky, filling the forest with bright light. All the creatures flee, and both Eugene and Heen survive. After surviving the encounter, Eugene and Heen finally get married. They begin living in their new home, together with Heen's grandmother. A few days later, while having dinner with the grandmother, Eugene notices the same insect on the wall again, the one linked to Mojium. Some time passes, and during a medical checkup, an ultrasound reveals their baby. Shockingly, the baby's eyes appear completely black, and that is where the story ends.